Once you get the Raspberry Pi booted up, I want to take just a moment to show you a couple of things. When you have your Raspberry Pi from the Smart Rover Kit, it's going to come with Thonny Python IDE, which is our programming environment, already installed and a shortcut placed on the desktop for you, along with a shortcut to a folder called Projects. And inside Projects, we have the sample projects that you'll be working with on the Raspberry Pi with the Smart Rover. So these have already been created and pre-installed, and these are what we're going to be looking at and making some adjustments to and investigating to try to identify what's happened when we program our rover. So let's take a look at what this looks like when you open up the Thonny Python IDE. So we double click to open it, and what we get is whatever the last file that was opened will open by default. So I'm going to just close that so that we can show a couple of things. If you were trying to create a new program from scratch, you would click the new icon to start a new program. That would open up a blank programming window, and you could add whatever you wanted there. Notice it opens in tabs, so if I open up more than one, I get them in various tabs, and I can close those tabs simply by clicking the X. Since we have the sample programs available, we're going to use the Load button, and when we click that, it's going to ask us, where do you want to open the file from? And it defaults to the bookshelf, but we can see our projects folder is on our desktop. So I'm going to double click on the desktop icon and then double click on projects, and there I see my project. So if I wanted to open project 1 while it's selected, I could either double click on it or come down and click OK in this bottom right hand corner. And then it's going to load the project, and as you can see, I have several comments at the beginning. The comments are preceded by a hashtag, and that just is information for the programmer or anyone looking at the program to see what is happening. So in this project, learning to program and using outputs, build the project 1 circuit and blink an LED. And then our challenge is to try changing the LED on and off variables to change the blinking pattern. So then what happens is, in the second challenge, we can replace the color LED with a buzzer or the white LED to try other outputs. Sometimes you have to import certain libraries ahead of time. This tells you what libraries are, and we want to, in this case, we want the sleep function for timing and GPO. So here's how we get the sleep function library added. From the time library, we're going to import sleep, and we're going to import the GPIO library. So then it tells us that we're defining our variables so that we can use them later, and we can just proceed down by looking at the comments on the code. And if it's not preceded by a hashtag, that's an actual line of code that we could manipulate or change depending on what we're trying to do. So this is our first sample program as it is viewed in Thonny. Now, of course, you can do kind of the standard things you would be able to do on anything. You can adjust the size of the window so that you can see a little bit more text at one time. So there's just a, kind of a normal interface. You've got your lines of code to help you identify what line you're working on. And so Thonny is just a nice, simple, easy to use development environment that we can use with the Raspberry Pi that comes as part of our Smart Rover Kit.